Acceptable.
And many others. I have friends here. Let's begin with questions. I think everybody heard them speak, so I'm going to answer questions unless you'd like me.
How do you respond to the boycott? What are you going to do to counter that?
Yeah, very worried about that, obviously. We care about all our students here, and we're very sorry about the tragic death of Jason Washington. It means a lot to us. We've been trying to do a lot here to create an inclusive campus that respects diversity, and we have multicultural centers and many other programs designed to make this a welcoming place for people. And we also need to make sure we have a police department that is strongly committed to a diverse approach, a balanced approach to providing campus services, and creating a police agency and a police service that is responsive and attentive to the needs of our diverse student body.
Can you justify a little bit more why the board and you decided to go with continuing to arm police officers?
Right. We think that in this day and age, policing and public safety in a large urban campus is a very very complex activity, controversial as well. And so what we think is to have the full array of services you might need to provide a full and a strong campus public safety requires a lot of different resources and assets. And one of those is the capacity and expertise of sworn officers, coupled with unsworn officers and with our new student safety ambassadors.
But how do you prevent something like this from happening?
Well, we're always, any police unit, including our campus public safety, is always trying to avoid this kind of event, trying to take all kinds of measures and steps so that a tragedy like this does not occur. One of the things we've always done and we're continuing to do is use safety measures, training measures. That is, we use training processes to introduce our police officers to the unique, not only the basics of policing, but also to the unique characteristics and qualities in the student body we have in an urban campus. And so we're doubling down on de-escalation techniques. We're working so that all of our public safety officials have training in about the needs and interests and backgrounds of different communities of color and different students from different backgrounds and international students in order that they can understand that community well and be best served to understand the needs, understand what could be underlying certain incidents, and then try and resolve them in a safe way.
Stephen, if that's been happening, why did this shooting happen? And if it hasn't been happening, why hasn't it been happening up to this point? If that training hasn't been happening, and if it has, why wasn't it effective?
Some of the training has been happening, but I'm not sure you can train for every single kind of event that you have, and you can't take action to prevent every single tragic situation from arising. Our job is to double down and do the best we can to train people to make them the most effective possible agents of security in our campus context, our campus situation.
The board said they were disappointed that not all suggestions have been implemented yet. Could you elaborate on what has yet to be done?
Well, in the Margolis Healy report, there was I believe some concerns that the UPSOC, the University Public Safety Oversight Committee hadn't done all of the work that was expected of them. And I'm not sure it was their fault. I'm not sure we just followed through that they were actively involved in the recruitment process for police officers. There was some training that may not have been done as systematically or fully as possible. But those are the things we're doubling down on, and we will definitely be doing that moving forward.
In that report, there was also a poll in which 8% of student body responded. 55% expressed that they did not want CPSO to be armed. Do you all plan to do repeat polls with the hopes of more robust turnout?
Yes, what we're trying to do, and every 3 years we're going to have a major review of campus public safety. Campus Public Safety Oversight Committee to become involved and do a survey whenever they want to. And we're also hoping that student safety ambassadors will be out on the street talking to people, will be another source of information coming to us about what the people that are on our campus and using our campus feel about security and safety.
How were students involved in this process and deciding if this was going to be the plan?
Students were involved in a variety of the committees. Certainly the students were involved in surveys that were done. There was a student engagement survey they talked about concerns about crime and concerns about safety. We considered that. They were on the review and response team that was formed after Margolis Healy to look at the implementation of those recommendations. They were very much involved in the on the review and response team, and they're involved in UPSOC as well, the University Oversight Committee, and I've talked to some of the leaders as well about this program.
Jason Washington wasn't a student, so how will you get this information out to the greater public that there will continue to be armed officers and increased unarmed presence as well?
We want to be very transparent about that. I think some of the news coverage you'll be providing will help get that news out, but we want everybody to know what our current situation is and why we're doing it, and the rationale for why we're doing it, which is available in the report that you'll find on the web, which gave a much more detailed explanation than I was able to give in the short time of my.
Is there any
You
sense
mentioned-
to ever change the relationship with the Portland Police Bureau? In other words, a lot of people were confused as to why this shooting occurred on essentially what's a public street by university officers.
And that was very confusing because we had a building on one side and a a non-university establishment on the other side of the street, and where the boundaries are exactly, it's difficult to tell. We have agreed to continue working with the Portland Police Department and the City of Portland to understand the best ways that we can be effective and how we can work together and clarify any confusion about jurisdiction.
You
mentioned-
to implementing more social work outreach when it comes to certain crises that happen on campus or in this urban area. Since Jason Washington, there's actually been another death that CPSO is involved with the detention of, and that's Richard Berry. And that body camera footage is posted online. And the police also talk about bringing more social outreach to those situations, yet neither first responders teams were capable of doing that, or in that instance didn't happen. How do you bridge that gap?
Thank you. I don't know that particular incident very well. I wasn't doing this job at that time, but I do know that there is a growing effort in the law enforcement community to try to include within response to calls for service, mental health and support services for those incidents where they've understood that seems to be the issue that's underlying the call to the police. And whenever it involves our own students, our police personnel contact our care team. That's a team of professionals with health, safety, and support knowledge, and they help advise the police on how to respond.
If they fail to provide basic first aid and first responder tactics, what is the process of monitoring that?
If they are called and they don't respond?
No, if they fail to provide, basic, like this man went unconscious and no one checked his vitals or even identified it, and he was ultimately declared dead.
Well, again, I'm really not that familiar with that situation, but our job is to do the best we can to try to make sure we're trained, everyone's trained and can understand that, or get access to other people who help figure out that situation as quickly as possible to respond.
In your plan, you mentioned that you were going to be training and hiring some additional people to do that won't be armed. What are you going to do about the diversity of the people who are in charge of security and safety?
I think it is a great question. We are very interested in getting diversity in all elements of our plan. That is in the sworn officers, in the public safety officers, and in the student ambassadors. And we'll try very hard to come up with a group of people that reflect the basic diverse composition of our campus.
On the hiring of new officers, do you guys do a background check if they were from a police department to make sure that those aren't officers that have issues with shoot first, ask questions later? Are you making sure that those people are going to keep us safe but not kill us?
I know there are thorough, and I can ask people to get you more detail on the very much specifics, but I do know we do background checks we do serious background checks whenever we're trying to hire anybody in the police department.
It's clear that students don't believe the idea of disarming police was taken very seriously in this decision-making process. What would you say to that?
I would say the students we heard from today were very concerned about that. I'm not sure all students would agree with that. We've tried very hard to listen to a lot of different points of view. And again, talking to students, looking at surveys, and some students in this ever more violent society we seem to be living in, there are people who said to me that they feel they need someone, at least some resources on our campus that could respond to an incident involving a weapon or threat of use of a weapon.
What would you say to students who still feel threatened by the presence of armed CPSO officers on campus?
And that I'm very concerned about their position, and I respect their concern about the not feeling safe with our own police officers, and I'd like to try to do some healing or working together so that we could come together and hopefully convince those people, at least our police officers, are not people they should have to fear. And I think that's a long and major challenge for us.
What sort of systems of accountability do you have in place for officers that use excessive force on campus?
We have a system, and again, I'm gonna have the chief probably, or we'll get you some more information, but we clearly investigate thoroughly any use of force, and that use of force is reviewed in the department, and will be reviewed by the University Public Safety Oversight Committee.
Have you checked with other universities or done a survey or comparison to how they deal with armed campus police, whether they do or don't use them? Have you looked at that effectiveness?
There's quite a bit of data out there. At the time before we became armed, we were a really outlier because almost all universities in urban areas have police officers that have sworn power. I've been in two other universities in this country, one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and one in Baltimore, Maryland, and they had armed police officers for quite a while.
There was video footage released after Washington's death. Can you confirm that all of the campus safety officers will be wearing body-worn cameras that have to be on at all times when they interact with the public?
I appreciate that question. I don't have the answer. We'll get you the answer. I know we've been.
We can get back to you.
I just don't.
Check on that.
It's only sworn officers at this time that are mandated to wear body cameras, and the policy of when they turn it on and turn it off is vague.
When I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you the truth, but I probably will get you the right answer, so we can be transparent.
So one of the suggested reforms is to provide oversight committees with more information, more reports. And one of the things that we're wondering is if those reports will also be available to the public, or if any part of those reports will be available to the public and, say, the press.
Well, there's, I have to check a little bit. I'm sorry. I do know that they'll be available. There are sometimes confidentiality and legal requirements about that, but I think some of that is reported, but I don't know the extent of it, but I can tell, we'll get back to you on that. To the extent we can, we will.
How do you personally feel about the fact that within 1 minute, more than 10 shots were fired at a person when police arrived at the scene of the crime?
You're talking about the case in Washington?
That's correct.
I was not part of that, and I don't know the great details about that, so I don't think I can answer that very well.
I mean, you're a person, correct?
I am a person, that's
So how do you as a person respond to the fact that that happened?
I think I would have to see the situation and maybe be part of it before I can make that judgment.
You can watch the footage.
You should watch the footage to understand the point of view from the students, sir.
Any more questions?
So how many sworn police officers do you have currently? I know in the report it says that you're going to sustain recruitment and then the goal is 10.
The answer right now is we have 6 sworn.
6, but the goal is 10.
The goal is 10.
Yeah, earlier you said there was going to be no changes in how many sworn officers you have employed.
No change in the number of the original set. We've been trying to hire to 10 for a long time.
I see, the goal is 10.
Recruiting, the goal is 10.
What are some of the, I guess, setbacks that you've found in trying to get to 10?
It's, from what I've understood, is that right now recruiting police officers around the country is very difficult. We talked to the city of Portland. I believe they were down 120 officers. So I think there may be some more reluctance to go into that field right now, or they're very much in demand because of violence or other things. I don't know, but I just know it's pretty hard. And the fact that we were a little bit unsure where we were going with campus public safety probably also made it harder to say, gee, is that someplace I want to look to until I know more clearly what the pattern going forward will be.
How many officers do we have at this point on campus? I may have missed that.
We have 6 sworn police officers and 6 non-sworn campus public safety officers.
Thank you.
And you want to get to 10 for both?
Yeah.
Correct.
And it was 6 years ago you decided to arm the sworn officers.
There's 4 vacancies on the armed campus police.
Yeah.
So the authorized strength of that is 10.
Yeah.
There are 4 vacancies, there are 6 currently.
Right.
On the other ones, there are 6 authorized, and it's gonna go to 10, as an increase of 4 on the safety officers.
So the expansion is on the safety officer side, the non-sworn.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, 2014, armed.
And the sworn officers are the ones that carry guns,
That's correct.
and the non-sworn don't.
No.
Last question?
I wanted to ask about increased oversight and what that looks like from the committee, how they'll be providing increased oversight.
Sure. First of all, we've elevated their reporting authority directly to me as the president, as opposed to before it went to a vice president. So that means they have direct access from me for any problems that they have or any immediate circumstances they think that I should be aware of. It also means greater access to some of the confidential data about the particular situations, including the people involved, the nature of the use of force and the outcome of that. It'll also be given the chance to review the training schedules of the police. The police chief will be expected to put out a training schedule, and then they will be monitoring the training and who's receiving the training, and who see that we are following that schedule so that the full training that we've stipulated will actually be delivered.
I have one more. You mentioned number 3, bullet point 3, that wasn't on the previous agenda, and mentioned camera and lighting, but I couldn't quite hear in the room. Could you go into that a little?
Yeah. In our original plan, the notion of infrastructure wasn't particularly well developed, and the point of this one is to look at infrastructure, which means lighting and cameras and pathways in the evening, to see if we have all of that stuff as effectively used as we can to enhance safety. And we're going to be hiring a physical safety officer who will be actually doing studies of that and looking at that, as well as helping us think through questions of building access.
And when are you looking to have that position hired?
I think in the next 3 months.
Okay.
So, we'll follow up with, Kenny will send out some of those questions that we have to check on. We'll send those to everybody, the answers to those. So if you have any other, send me, Chris Broderick, or Kenny Ma, any questions you want to follow up.